Um, People in the chat are saying that I hate Jeezy, so let's just jump on into it then.
Well, you want to know what? Here's what I'm going to do, Mike. I don't. You know how I feel about the word hate. Hate's a very strong word to use, but you're definitely not a fan.
I
I'm
like
going to
Jeezy
take.
as a I like Jeezy as a businessman. As
But
a
you're not a
artist,
fan of his music per se, really.
he what
You're
is
a fan
there
of
what
some
is there
stuff.
to actually like though? He's not skilled lyrically, right? His flow's not even his, right? Decent
Okay.
rap voice, okay.
Pretty good
And he
rap
had a
voice.
very short, hot run. And you
Okay.
know what? Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's put him with his contemporaries and their growth. So he came out around 04, 05 ish, right? You got people
Yeah.
like The Game. Are we going to
Right.
compare him to The Game and where he grew as an artist and what he's put out, how he sounds right now? Are we
Keep
gonna
going.
are we gonna compare him to Rick Ross?
Oof.
Ross left him in the dust. Let's be
Oof.
real. Are we gonna compare him to even Gucci? Gucci has been able to evolve with the times. Gucci can make records about anything, and I'm gonna get to that too when we talk about this album. But where am I supposed to place him amongst his peers?
Now, if we're gonna be fair, when it comes to, you remember class rank in high school, Mike? When everybody had a class rank.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if somebody's number one, then somebody's number 464 too. You feel what I'm saying? And so, if you just want me to be honest and objective about it, like critiquing it in terms of his class of superstar rappers per se, or wouldn't you say like superstar level rapper? Um, he would probably come in last pace in his peer group in respect to Ti, Wayne, The Game, Ross, like all those guys bubbled around that time. You know what I'm saying?
I will.
Kanye.
I feel like Ti and
You feel
Wayne
like
are slightly
Ti and
before
Wayne are
him.
before, but
Yeah.
their come uppance is around that time though.
Okay. If we want to talk about and I feel like 2000, 2001 is a whole different game than 2004,
That's what
2005.
I mean. Like
Yeah.
Wayne and Ti in 2001 weren't who they were in 2005.
I think Ti's jump off was actually 2003, so I guess that's fair.
Yeah,
He's not.
that's
He's
literally a
not
year
even on
before
the.
Jeezy.
He's
It's
not even on
literally
the
a year before
same.
Jeezy.
He's not even on the same planet as Ti.
I never said that he was. I just said that if you're ranking the class rank for the superstar rappers of his class, he's probably going to come in last place.
Andre
What else?
Shashir says with the super chat. I didn't mean to cut you off. He
What up,
says that
Dre?
Freddie Gibbs' album is better than Rome Streets, but I like
Yes.
listening to Rome Streets much more. So I understand why Coop might listen to Armani over Ransom. I might not feel about that with the Rome Streets and Freddie, but actually I have listened to the Rome Streets more than Freddie, technically. With
I've
that
listened
being
to the
said, is Jeezy better than Freddie? For
Oh
all
no,
y'all thinking I'm hating, you know what I'm saying? Like, where am I
no.
supposed to place?
Freddie's four album run that he's currently on right now is better than anything Jeezy's done. Because yeah,
So where is he?
I just told you where he is, but that doesn't. I mean, if you actually look at the class, though, I mean, Ti, it's a Hall of Fame top 20 rapper. Ross, Hall of Fame top 25 ish, 30 ish rapper. Same thing with Game. It's not like the competition of the class that he in is slouch. He's probably the least talented and has delivered the least of the bunch, but that doesn't mean that he doesn't have some of the same things that they have: classic material, classic albums, classic songs, just not as much of, and not as respected lyrically. So I want to gauge it fairly, and also too, I think some of the points that you want to make, I think I just want to make sure we're being fair across the board about the things that maybe you might take issue with. And that's why I was like, I want to take notes, because here's the thing. I just got done listening to the Snoop,
Mm-hmm.
and I guarantee you that some of the same critiques that you're probably about to have to Jeezy, I could slide over to the Snoop and tell you, well, why did you like the Snoop so much?
Okay. Well, let's do that. All right.
Okay.
Well, today, Jeezy and Drama, they dropped the Gangsta Grill. Actually, one of three Gangsta Grills that dropped today. Snoop dropped one, and so the NBA YoungBoy. But we're gonna cover, two of the latter. because it's just so much music out there.
Hold
And
on, can I just say something? Can I
huh?
say something briefly,
Yeah,
Mike?
go ahead.
We also need to cover the fact that Gucci did a very business savvy and intelligent thing today and dropped the triple album to try to
Did
outstream
he?
Jeezy, which I think is super petty. Yeah, I texted you that this morning. That's what I was trying to
Oh,
tell
that's
you.
what you were saying. I
Yeah,
think I must
like
misread the text. Yeah.
no, Gucci. No, I was like, Gucci dropped the triple album today. It's like 2 hours and 47 minutes worth of music. Like, I was like, we're not listening to that today.
Shout out to the great Gucci. I thought you were just talking about the fact that Gucci consistently drops
No,
work.
I
Yeah.
meant today. The petty level is high today.
You know, I'm sorry, man. When it comes to just again seeing so icy, if for people who weren't in the city at the time or whatever,
I
it's
was in
two
the city.
guys who were at the same level at that time, right? And who were, coming from similar places. They really weren't quote unquote rappers, but they were, getting into the rap game. You can listen to Gucci and hear how Gucci has gotten better and better and more effortless with this thing over the years. And the fact that, and I think I told you this earlier, I mean, Gucci got songs about his wedding anniversary, or, what I'm saying? It's like Gucci can make records about anything pretty much.
I
Jeezy
found that
can't
to
do
be
those
touching.
things.
No, I found that to be
Yeah,
touching that he did that too, and
yeah.
showing that type of development and growth as a man. Because we see him, flaunt her in public. They be at the Hawks games and all, like, what I'm saying, and stuff. But like, to reflect on it in your career and in your passion is, you know,
If it weren't
that's
for, I'm gonna get to
solid.
this, but if it weren't for interviews, I wouldn't know anything about Jeezy at this point. You know what I'm saying? Like, I hear, I wish that his interviews and the things that he say in his interviews actually translated over to the music. So, with that being said, Jeezy and Drama dropped is it SnoFall today.
Yes, just
It
like
was
the
a
snowball.
seven
They had a snowball for snowfall.
had a snowball for SnoFall. And yes, it was a gangster grill. I thought the production was pretty dope. I got the track list here on the screen. The couple of standout records for me. I'm gonna say Colors was the first one that I heard where I was like, okay. I liked Scarface.
Okay.
And I actually like Grammy too, I think.
Okay. You didn't like the intro?
It was cool, it was predictable. What were your thoughts on the project? And then I'll give mine.
Objectively speaking, I thought it was the best product that he's made in a long time.
Okay.
It is. Like, I can't remember the last album where he even had a song like Colors on it, to be quite frank with you.
What was the last
Actually,
Jeezy album that you would say was quality level to the point where it met the standards that you've set for him?
103.
What year was that?
Shit. I was outside like a motherfucker, so it's a while ago.
It's been a minute.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I want to say it's been 10 years, at least,
Okay.
maybe 11.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, what were some of
Let
your
me look
thoughts
and
of the
see.
project?
I'm listening. Go ahead. Go ahead. Tell me what
No,
you
no.
what
I
you
was
thought.
just gonna ask you, but you want me to go?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, no, no, no. I want to hear your thoughts first. You know what I mean? Because I think it's always better for our viewership when the person who isn't the fan does the critique first.
Okay.
Like whoever's the bigger fan should always go last. Don't you think? It just seems more objective that way.
All
And
right.
since I am the bigger fan, I think it's easier to hear it from you first. And then maybe if I don't agree with something, I'll be like, well, hold on. You
Well,
know what
let's
I'm saying?
well let's do this. And 103 was 2011. Says our
I was
chat
right.
over here.
Yeah,
The
10, 11
recession
years
was
ago.
'08. Man, that was a long time ago. All right, this is what we're
Yes,
gonna do. I'm gonna give the good. I thought the production was good. I think the production was something that we consistently that we expect from this parent. I think that they tried
yes.
to give us that Gangsta Grill feel. It was a throwback, whatever. But I also think when you talk about lyrically, that's a setback. To me, I think we talked about this when we talked about Crooked Eye and Joel Ortiz album. This
Mm-hmm.
is the ultimate remember what we used to do album.
Mm-hmm.
This is the ultimate like remember when we was at yada yada. Remember when we drove this? We started this. We yada yada this. Very not even really nostalgic in that way, but almost on some remember me stuff, right? Not
Mm-hmm.
progressive in that way. One of the records that really stood out to me that I thought was kind of all over the place was the Street Cred record. And I
Let's talk
remember,
about that record.
so he got on Big Facts and he was talking about how street cred's not important anymore, or and I see even on the song he was like, street cred doesn't pay my bills, blah blah blah.
Really?
But then Drama's in the back talking about all the street cred they do have. It was mixed messaging in that sense, where it's like, is this song about street cred you still got, or is it about it's not important anymore? Did you
I
got
think
did Drama even listen to the song, or did he just
what's
jump on
wrong?
there and start yelling on it?
It's DJ Drama. You may not have listened to a damn
I
thing, Mike.
mean,
It's a definite possibility.
does the DJ who's hosting the mixtape not even listen to the lyrics of the actual songs that Jeezy's putting out?
Now you're being
I'm
problematic.
just
I don't
being I'm
think
just being
that's what's
real.
going on. That's shady.
It's not. They're not saying the same things.
Okay, I thought they were kind of doing a little compare and contrast of like, how things were as opposed to how they are now. I would call that speaking comparatively
Okay.
about two different eras of cred, like saying, the street cred used to look like that. Now the street cred is this to us. That's what I thought that was saying. But when you bring up the fact that it could be sending a mixed message, no, I find that to be viable that you say that, because I don't know how else to say this. Well, the average person just ain't that bright, Mike. And so I can see plenty of people getting that confused now that you bring that up and being like, oh, these niggas don't know what they talking about. One nigga talking about gang, gang, gang in the background. The other one talking.
Yeah, the other was talking about I don't need this street cred anymore.
Right. No, no, no. So I can see that. I didn't think about that until you said it. So I'm going to give you some credit for like alluding to that and making it viable. I can only just tell you what I hear. But things like this is why I think it's important for the person who's a less of a fan to speak first, because I think if I say that, and it's like, oh, well, nigga, you just a fan.
Well, the thing is, though, it's like I think that someone. I mean, let's just be real. Whether he holds himself as a rapper or not, you've been. I mean, first major album dropped in '05. He was been rapping way before that. I mean, you've been rapping nearly 20 years now. I mean, has the skill set and the craft not hadn't gotten to the point where you can actually articulate some of these thoughts a little bit better to the point where things are clearer?
Now, Mike, if you want to make the point that he's not better as an MC and hasn't grown lyric, I think he took a jump somewhere between like the inspiration and the recession as an MC. Somewhere in between there, like he took a jump as an MC. But since that jump, I don't really felt like he's taking another jump. And if you feel that way too, I'm not going to disagree with you about that. That's what I'm saying. It's like if you're going to tell me that he's not hasn't gotten better as an MC, nah, you're right about that.
And even if you don't even have to get better as an MC, life changes, right? He's seeing a lot of things. And again, I watched a bunch of different Jeezy interviews and listened to this album. I listened to the Hot 97 interview. I also listened to the Big Facts interview. He was saying a lot of the same things in all these interviews, but one of the things that I took from the Big Facts interview was the fact that he was just talking about he lives a different life now, which is cool. And he was talking about he got like 10 cars and he really ain't got nowhere to go. But with that being said, why can't we get any of this stuff that you're talking about in these interviews in the actual music?
Now, Mike, I
And
believe one of the records he did a couple of the records, Mike, he actually did do that. When you were telling me that, I think you texted me that this morning when we were up early this morning and we had texted about some of these things.
mm-hmm.
And and on a couple of these records, Mike, he does kind of
What records would you say? because I got the
I'm trying
track
to.
list
I'm,
up.
I'm gonna have to pull them up again because especially since it was Jeezy, it was more of like a ride around thing. Like I didn't, I like to hear. Like, how about this? Jeezy is one of those artists I do like to hear him outside before I hear him inside. I usually do listen in the headphones first, but I was like, no, 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 no. We're gonna have to turn this up.
One of the things that I took from both of his interviews is the fact that he said that he's always wanted to be a businessman, and I respect Jeezy as a hustler and businessman and those things that he's done in that world. But he said music was his vehicle to do that, right? Um,
Yeah, you didn't like King's Crown still having. Like, he touched on some things in there. That's what I mean. My accountant, Grammy. You brought up Grammy. Yeah, like, it's not all. See, this is what I mean. When you say he hasn't grown as an MC, I can understand that. But what I would submit to you is that sometimes it's easier for you to hear that lack of growth when you're not a fan of somebody. Because when I listen to Snoop's project, I could bounce right back to you. It's like, oh, well, Snoop hasn't grown or gotten better or talked about anything different either. He's just a bigger star, better MC, more
mhm.
likable, makes better songs. But the same things that you're saying about Jeezy, I can say about Snoop. Well, Snoop flow and delivery and lyrics ain't no better than they were on Doggy Style. Nope.
uh,
Hold on, Mike. Is he not on this album? Snoop not on this DJ drama talking about bitches, smoking, cripping.
he's talking about having fun. You're right.
All right. What is Doggy Style about, Mike?
Doggy style's about having fun.
Right. He is smoking, drinking, with the messing with these crippin. Right. So what's he doing on this album, Mike? Smoking, drinking, messing with the crip. Yeah, same
Okay,
things,
this is
same
what
delivery,
I
but we love
understand. What
Snoop
I
more.
understand what you're saying, and I think that's a fair point. But what I expected from this record, just like I said, listening to the interviews that Jeezy was doing, where he was talking about basically he carries himself like a James St. Patrick's from Power, right? Where this whole thing is about
I
getting
don't
out
like
of the
that.
game. No, it is. I mean, he was talking about that, like
I know.
transitioning
I just
and
don't
all
like
this
it. I
stuff.
just never liked it for him because that would. Okay, so here's the thing about it. When you want to pull that move, you open yourself up to the
Now
things
you
that
got
you're
to be
talking
deeper. You
about.
want to be
Right.
cinematic? Let's be cinematic. And I don't want to
Right.
sit here and hear the same old dope stuff, this, and that, and the third. No, you're sitting
So
here
why is
with
it okay?
you're sitting
Go
here
ahead. I'm
with
sorry.
the mayor of the city. You're sitting over here with governor candidates. You're sitting there with the president of the United States, looking like James St. Patrick's. I want to hear some more serious stuff or transitional stuff. Because and the other part of it too is, and he said this on the album. He always says this. He always talks about how big of a fan of Tupac's that he is, right? He always talks about how much he admires Tupac. Tupac's his biggest inspiration. Okay, well, dig a little deeper then. You know what I'm saying? Like, dig a little deeper. And Snoop has always said Slick Rick's his guy, right? So he goes and kind of does some of the things that Slick Rick does. But it's like, I don't see the Pac influence in Jeezy when it comes to just being able to balance out things in that way and really give you some real material. It seems like what we were just saying in the previous episode, he's picking out the last 9 months of Tupac's life to be inspired by.
Hmm.
Just saying.
I mean, that's okay. So, hence the whole I don't hold Machiavelli as high as other people because it's not like it's good music. It's not aspirational or inspirational though.
And before
It's
people
not.
bring up Pusha T, I criticize Pusha T's It's Almost Dry for the same thing. But at
You
least
did.
with Pusha T, you got bar work that
You did.
compensates
No, I
for
thought
the
about
lack
that.
of, yeah,
No, you know who the main person I thought of was today? Is that man, Pusha T is really an awesome lyricist.
yeah,
Because he he doesn't for as many people as get on him saying, well, why do you keep talking about it? It's like, oh, because I flip it better than anybody ever has.
exactly.
And Jeezy, the way that he hasn't flipped it the way Pusha T has is evidence. Because you know what made you know what I did play today? I played Illin and I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm like, Pusha T's that dude at this talk. Like, he's the guy for this talk. That's what I mean, though. But it's like it's not fair to put Jeezy next to Pusha because Pusha's high level. Like Pusha's closer to Jada, Kiss, and Ray.
I just don't know. I mean, I guess Jeezy's kind of where I've always had him, but I just don't know for the people who are Jeezy fans to that degree. Like, I don't really understand where y'all have him at, and I don't understand the justification for it. And I also think that this product right here is living proof. It's like there's so many places he can go, so many things that he could talk about, or so many different ways that he can expand musically because he has expanded, what I'm saying, obviously in his personal and business and empire that he's building, and we get none of that. This was nothing but like, you know what? I'm going to try to basically make Streets is Watching. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I
Right,
got from this.
right.
Content and all. It's zero
No,
growth. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's zero growth if we want to talk about the context of it. Now, as far as the production, it was dope.
no, you're right. There's zero growth because here's the thing. Like, and this is what I mean. Sometimes the growth is in the ability to flip. It's like, oh, I know he's saying the same thing, but do you see how it's put together?
He didn't even do that.
Like like I'll give you a prime example, Mike. Purple Tape 2. It's like, oh no, same theme, just different movie theater, different cinematic views. There's like the insight is different. There's stuff like Pyrex vision and Ray's vocal tone is different. Like he's doing different stuff to give you that feeling. Like his voice on Pyrex Vision, it's like it's early in the morning or it's late. It's like you got to be quiet because like he might wake up the kids while he's cooking. You know what I'm saying?
For the
It's like you got
people,
to hit people with something different.
for the people in the chat that are saying that we don't go to Jeezy for bars and I want Jeezy to be Jay-Z, I don't. What do y'all listen to Jeezy for? Do you listen to him for perspective? Because
He's a
if you
vibe,
listen
Mike.
to him
He's a
for
vibe. He's a feel.
Because if you listen to him for perspective, there's a lot of perspective that listen, we don't listen to Trick Daddy for lyrics like that, but we do listen to Trick Daddy for perspective and he gives you that. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing. And again, when you cite somebody like a Tupac, I mean, according to many of you guys, Tupac's not a lyricist, but he gives you perspective. And Jeezy has given us the notion, that he can do that, right? But he's not doing that. And I'm not gonna sit here and act like he is on this effort because there's
I'm
a
not
lot
going to
of
act
places
like
it
that
can
either,
go.
but that doesn't mean that it's trash.
I didn't say it was trash.
Okay, so you
I don't think I even
so,
rated it yet.
Okay, so so how about this? I mean, I'm asking you this, and it's kind of rhetorical.
Mm-hmm.
How many guys are walking around with Jeezy's skill set that don't have his classic songs, albums, collaborations, or relationships? Because I would tell you half the game, at least, bare minimum. You get what I mean? Like, how out of place is he? It's not like he's subpar for today's rapping climate, Mike. I mean, if you're comparing him to like Nas or Freddie or
I'm not.
Thought,
I'm not. Like
right?
I
That's what
said,
I mean. But Mike, I mean, he's still Mike. He doesn't he, Mike. I mean, I'm not going to call any of like these newer rappers out that are like under 30, but I mean, lyrically, they're not beyond Jeezy. We can't talk that way. And if they can, they haven't made the hit songs that he's made, so they're maybe not the songwriter that he is.
I think that's
So it's like
apples and
we can't.
oranges. If we're not gonna name any names, this is what I'm gonna say though.
I can think. I
The
can think of
person.
about 10 rappers under 30 right now, Mike. That their lyric.
So what you think? You think Jeezy can out rap Benny or something? This is what I'm gonna
Next,
say.
next, Mike.
There was a time period where everybody had Jeezy over Ross, right? And people were acting like Ross was. I mean, and at one point Ross was chasing Jeezy, to be honest, because Jeezy was first to market. But that's a. They're not even in the same league anymore, and why is that?
I mean, one has obviously worked on their craft. I mean, one was more talented anyway, but one has obviously
Hold on,
worked on
hold
their
on.
craft.
Was Rick Ross coming in the door more talented than Jeezy?
Yes, because I always felt like he had more charisma, and
Okay.
I always felt like Hustlin' was better than everything on 101, even though 101's a better album. Like he had Jay in Def Jam in a way that Ross didn't. Ross was more of the underdog. Ross had more. Like Ross put his project together more by himself, I think, than Jeezy put his project together by himself. Does that make sense?
Okay. I guess. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how their working process was, cause Jeezy had the mixtapes in ways that Ross didn't.
That's what I mean. The way they went about it was different. But Mike, I mean, I can't deny. I told you, like Rick Ross's ascension as an MC, songwriter, album maker is like it's one of hip hop's best stories. Quite frankly.
I think that Jeezy's success is very admirable, like you said, when you balance out the skill set. I'm gonna say this: do you think that Jeezy's a better rapper than 2 Chainz?
You want to know what? I used to feel that way, but I can't say that anymore.
That's what I'm saying. Like, who is he better than in his class? Like, in and
No,
around that class.
and I was honest with you with my rebuttal in saying that if you want to put him at the bottom of his class, because every time you put him up against somebody, it's like, well, no, he's not as versatile as 2 Chainz. He's not as charismatic as 2 Chainz. He's not as fun as 2 Chainz. His guest appearances aren't as blistering as 2 Chainz. His wordplay is not as good as 2 Chainz.
Nope.
His lyricism is not as good as 2 Chainz. No, I feel you. The only thing that he has over Chainz is Trapper Die 1 and 2.
Long time ago, man. You know, and again,
I
what
know we were
separates
kids, Mike. We were kids.
what
I mean, definitely
separates
when Trapper died. I mean, Trapper died. We were kids, Mike. I
if
mean, we was
somebody
barely
said
coming
that
out of our
Jeezy was
20s.
if somebody said Jeezy
We're
was a
coming into.
if somebody said Jeezy was a flash in the pan, would they be wrong?
I think they would be wrong to say that. How about this?
Based on what?
No, you and I just did the. I'm not in the chat right now. Do you have the Patreon link up? The Just Blaze,
Oh, I get it.
the Just Blaze and Havoc Patreon battle that we just did, Mike, on Patreon on our Patreon channel. One of the things that you and I talked about after the fact was the fact that Just Blaze had a great run,
He did.
but it was brief, Mike.
It was.
It's like most of the stuff that you played happened in like a 2 to 3 4 year gap. Correct me if I'm wrong.
You're right.
Whereas, like, that's, and so I'll tell you some of the same thing probably applies to Jeezy, but that doesn't mean he's not great. Now, if you want to tell me
He's not
that,
great. I think great is
well, no,
that's
not, no,
that's
Just Blaze is great. You don't think Just Blaze is great?
I think Just Blaze is greater in his craft than Jeezy is in rap. I'm sorry. I think Just Blaze is a greater producer. I would call him great in the production field before I would call Jeezy great as a rapper.
Okay, that's fine. No, if you feel that way, that's okay. But what I would tell you is that, well, I don't think Havoc is a top 10 producer all time. I think he probably wouldn't make my top 10 objectively. Probably personally, but not objectively.
Right,
You get
right.
what I'm saying? Now, look at those records that I played versus your Just Blaze records. It's like, oh, well, Just didn't even make it in the top 20, 25 then.
Oh
But we
man.
still call him great. He's not, Mike, because Havoc would fall probably somewhere between 10 to 20, and it would be probably close. Even though we just talked about Dre, Dilla, Preem, Pete Rock, Q-Tip, Mike, we already 5 deep. RZA, Marley, we 7 deep. You get what I'm saying? It's like, yay,
Right.
we 8 deep. You feel me?
You're right.
It's like, Havoc is probably falling like 12 to 15. The way that battle just went, that put Just at like 27. But you want to call him great, and it's like that's fine. But we get to call Jeezy great then too. If he get to be called great at like 27 as a producer, then we
You
call
think
Jeezy
he's at
great too.
27? We gotta actually map that out.